Oh, there I go.
There we are. All right. I'm excited for this one.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I don't know. Actually, a lot of these people don't even know you all that much. So while everyone's logging
Great.
in, I'll
Trying to fix my light here.
yeah, again, you fix that. I'll introduce you. So, guys, this is Jonathan. I'd say a client, just as much a friend. We've worked together for a number of years. I'll say with pride, probably one of the smarter guys in my schedule. I'll just be real, right? Is Jonathan's been doing this for over 30 years and all different types of space in the investment space, the retail space, and with his driver analytic personality, the details of everything he does are tremendous. Like he takes everything. Get Patrick on right there. Hold on. There we go. Perfect on there. So all of these years and years of doing this over and over, and then here we go. So in doing this, Jonathan has gotten busier and busier. He's working with companies like Deal Machine now, with Moonlight. Right? He had to figure out.
Just mute everybody.
I should have set it up to come up on mute. So
Yeah.
anyway, well, if you know me, we'll just keep, we'll get it done. Well, anyway, so Jonathan has learned how to juggle. I mean, more systems, people. He's on more podcasts. He's on Clubhouse. He's on TikTok. Like he is everywhere. It's like Jonathan is just, and then how does he do it? It's all through time management. He's a master. So I told him I need to do a group call. In doing so, he offered to share with us all these techniques that he's developed over the years that allows him to really produce and run a team of, Jonathan, what do you have, what, about 30 agents now or so?
Yep, 31, including me.
Right. So he's running the team and doing these 10, 15 other things I just mentioned. And he was nice enough to share with us today how he juggles all the stuff and then just give you the tips and the techniques that can help you increase your production and productivity tremendously. So John, you're going to manage the chat on your own?
Yes, I got the chat covered. So if you guys want, so thanks, Mike. Appreciate you having me on. And welcome to everybody. I got 4 pages of Zooms here. So as usual, if you guys have been on these before, Mike will pop in with questions for me, but I'm going to run through general breakdown of how I got so obsessed with time blocking and why it helps. I'm actually going to do this a little bit different than I normally do. I'm actually going to go leave the tips for the end. But just raise your hand on this Zoom if you have trouble time blocking. It's got to be a lot of you. Don't lie. I'm going to go through all 4 pages. Yeah. It's like the bane of real estate agents' existence, and especially for those like me who are team leaders. We always want people on our team to just be efficient. I have an efficiency problem. I know I see some of my team on here and my team success managers on, but like I have a problem. I like things to run extremely efficiently. I don't like to waste my agent's time, and I hate wasting my own time. So I'm going to show you what I do. I'm actually going to go on my Google Calendar and I'll show you a little bit about how psychotic it looks. But then I'm going to explain to you why it works the way it does. So Mike, if you have things that you want to pop in on, just pop in, but I'll go through, I'll go through the normal run on where to start and then what's next and top things to add on your schedule.
Perfect.
All right. And anybody who has questions, feel free to use the chat. I do a lot of these, so I am able to swing in, see what you're asking in the chat and work it in real time as we're going through. So generally, I know from my agents and I know from myself that every time as an agent, that I got in a problem where I had to make a choice between one thing or the other. When I was really new in the business, I kept making decisions that were, oh, I have to get the business, so I'm going to do the business. And then that was against, not against, but it was anti what my kids were doing. And I actually left the business for a year because I wasn't time blocking properly. I'd had no boundaries. I was letting everybody call me at every single hour of the day. And because of that, it just literally drove me crazy. Like I couldn't do it. And I was sitting, you may have had this for those of you who have kids, spouses, like real estate is a 24/7 business. I was sitting at the dining room table with my kids who were much younger at the time. And one of them, my phone rang and one of them said, do you have to get that? And I said, yeah, I have to get this. It's business. And right when I said that, I just was like, nah, I've gone too far. You do not want to get to that part in real estate, because it just means your business is crumbling around you if you get to the part where you're ignoring your family, and it just means you haven't set the priorities and boundaries in place. So today,
Jonathan, let me interrupt Jonathan, because he
Yeah.
just hit a chord with me, because I went through the same exact scenario, little different situation, is my son was in third grade. And I'll never forget those days like that, Jonathan, you never forget. It was meet the teacher night at school. All excited to meet the teacher for the first time. He's in a newer school, right? New friends. And all the kids were asked to draw a picture of their kind of like their family or whatever, right? And they put it on the wall. So in going up to look for my picture, I was like, oh, that looks like our house. So I kind of gravitate to that picture, and that was our house. Nice little, cute little ranch with a picket fence. And there was a picture of me in the front yard.
Picture.
Yeah, please mute, everyone mute the mics. So Jonathan, I go up to the picture. There was a picture of me in the front yard. Here was the picture, guys. It was me holding my phone to my ear. That was his impression. And I realized, like you, holy crap, I'm on the phone 24/7. That's his impression of me. I'm always not available. I'm always on the phone. And like you, I made that determination. Hey, I need to set some boundaries. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Perfect. And I mean, I can tell you, this is one thing that no one's usually going to give in a real estate centric webinar. Real estate's not the most important thing on your schedule. You are, your family is, your friends are, but if you time block them away, you'll leave plenty of time for real estate. The problem as agents is we're always making a decision because we don't have something in front of us to tell us, well, you have something. So you set, someone comes in, your team leader sends you $1 million buyer, you just say, yeah, of course I'm going to do it. And then you do it and you realize you haven't booked your schedule, your kids' schedule, and then your kids are off that day. Any parents out there who forgot to book their kids' days off for the whole year and then said a whole bunch of good stuff only to realize there's no childcare for the day? Anyone? Or is my the only one? Or is my the only have to have done it? So this is where to start. Can everyone go on mute?
I'm going to mute all. Jonathan, just unmute yourself now. I muted everybody. So Jonathan, you need to unmute yourself if you can. Otherwise, I'll do it for you. Hold on one second. Too much background noise, guys.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Okay, much better now. Okay.
That's so much better. I was getting distracted.
Yes.
All right, awesome. So I am going to show you my Google Calendar while we go. I'm going to watch the clock, make sure we get off at 3 to respect all your time. But the place to start when you're talking about time blocking as a real estate agent, whether you're new, 20 years in the business, is always with your own life. When I transitioned back into real estate, I already had everything set in place. So the first things that you want to focus are on the things that help you feel better about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, or you don't feel like everything is pretty good in your own personal life, you're going to be a terrible agent. I can just tell you, if you're arguing with your spouse or your kids are having problems, you're worse as an agent. It's very hard to service other people when you're not servicing yourself. So I'm going to go through a bunch of different things, but your life is what goes on there first. That's yourself, your partner, your kids, your family, friends, health, mind. For me, the first things that I put on my schedule are all things that will help me grow as a person, because that helps me grow as an agent. Mindfulness, meditation, reading, time walking, exercise, any of those things that are in your morning routine. If you guys have, you're going to probably get a lot of book recs on this from me, but obviously Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents by Hal Elrod and a bunch of people who contributed to it is a great place to start. It starts to get you set. And if you start putting those things on the calendar, that's how you start to hold yourself accountable. Because if you don't have anything on a calendar, and then you don't do it, there's no accountability. And you can't always expect for somebody like Mike or an outside coach or a life coach to hold you accountable personally. You have to learn to hold yourself accountable. And the way that I personally do it is through 10,000 spreadsheets, as Mike knows, and Google Calendar. Next is your sleep. This may be not going in the direction that you thought, but obviously if you read How to Sleep by Matthew Walker, that's like 8 hours a night. Is anyone getting 8 hours a night? Please, I hope somebody is besides Mike. I'm looking, I did see Kevin go up with the hand. 8 hours a night is tough. But the more that you work on your schedule, the more that you're going to leave time to set routines in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day to make sure that you're at your best. The less sleep you get, the worse you are as an agent. Just like the less self-care you do, the worse you're going to be as an agent. I'm going to keep saying it. If you can't care for yourself, you can't care for your clients. And they'll know that. And it will become pretty apparent. So I did talk about mindfulness, meditation, silence, journaling. I mean, look, everybody has their own things of what they like to do. What I'm trying to tell you is put it on your calendar. And I'm going to show you on my calendar what I used to do, how that got me in there. Because if you keep seeing it every day, it's a reminder that you have to do it. The good part with a calendar like Google Calendar is if something does come up, you can just move the block to later in the day. Let me see. All right, no questions. Feel free to post stuff in the chat as we go. Exercise, whatever that is, obviously important to throw on there. These are all your personal things, reading, learning. Learning, I want to just take a quick stop on learning because you guys are all involved in coaching in some way. Obviously, Mike's a coach of your team leaders, coach of your team, so he probably coaches you. Your team leader coaches you. But if you're not actively learning outside of only the things in real estate, again, you're just not going to be growing to what you want. So I'm like a weirdo. I've done 33 master classes. I just like to learn stuff. But what I realized is that the more that I learn outside of real estate, the more that it helps me in real estate. How many people have read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss? Mike, I'm looking for hands. Oh, good. Okay, a lot of people. Anyone post in the chat, did that help you in real estate? So he also has a master class. You want to go down that rabbit hole as well, but the book is phenomenal. Master class is just the same. There's so much outside that you can learn that will help you in real estate because real estate is a relationship business. I don't look at it as a sales business. I'm actually, Mike knows, I think I'm a terrible salesperson. I'm just really good at building relationships. So I do well in real estate because I'm not focused in the short term. But in order to be taking care of the times that you have available to focus on all your activities, it's going to be inside this time blocking. So one thing that everybody thinks you never need to put on your schedule, which I'm telling you right now you do, is one-on-one time with your partner, one-on-one time with your kids, individually with different kids if you have them, with your parents. Anybody that's really important to you needs to be in there because you're going to, I mean, come on, after COVID, we didn't realize, like, if you don't schedule in time locally, you're just not going to do it. You're going to blink and you're going to say, I haven't seen my brother or sister in 3 months. Oh, I'm so busy. You know, that's what we always say as real estate agents. I'm so busy, but 90% of the time we're doing busy work, which is not our highest and best, value in the business. So you want to keep kind of figuring out which are your highest and best use, scheduling them, but don't forget about, promise I'll actually get to some real estate stuff soon. Okay, activities and events, those are very, very important to schedule in advance. I don't know if anybody's ever gone over it inside, but if you're going to set vacations, I like to put them on my calendar at the beginning of the year, even if I don't know where I'm going. And then I set a 3 or 6 month reminder to actually decide and book where to go with whoever's in your family. If you don't do that, you're going to be creeping up a month before a vacation, realize everything is booked. And then you're going to take like your 3rd or 4th favorite vacation because you didn't plan it. Everything is planning. If you just had it on there to do, your team leader, everybody in your team would know. Your other agents around you would know, like, you have a vacation scheduled for June, so we're going to be on alert that we can take over and help there. And that's why it's great to be on a team. You have all these extra resources there to help you. But I can tell you, as someone who's obviously run 2 different teams, if somebody tells me the day before they're going on vacation, oh, by the way, going on vacation for 10 days, can you cover all my stuff? Of course, we're going to cover it, but like, thanks for the notice. It would have helped if we all knew in advance, including you guys. All right, here are some outside tips. Let's see what else we got. I haven't shared my calendar yet, Darren. All right. Yeah, Mike also talked about removing anything not critical, TV, social, etc., and then schedule everything. Again, like I said, you're going to get 100 book recommendations, so write them down, or I'll send them. Deep Work by Cal Newport is the thing that got me out of the kind of cycle of having everything on. It's basically a combination of, one thing and no things.
You know what I'll do, Jonathan, interrupt. What I'll do, because I love these books as well. I've read most of them. is I'll create a list with you and I'll get a list out to, because people might jump in, jump out, and we'll create a complete book list for you guys. I'd highly recommend. And Jonathan, why don't you talk about that for a second? How do you read so much?
Yeah, because I time blocked it, to be
Exactly.
honest. In that time frame, in 2018, I read 100 books. Before that, I was reading like, I don't know, 2 or 3. Now I read maybe like 30 to 40, 50 a year. And I will tell you one pro tip, which I have a bunch of them. A lot of people say they read a lot of books because they read on Audible and then they put it on 2 or 3x. You're not going to remember that. I don't care how smart you are. When you're on 2x, you're going to need to listen to it 2 or 3 times to really get what you want out of it. So this year, I actually stopped doing that. And when I listen on Audible, I only listen on 1x. Same with podcasts. I was missing everything. I was trying to do it in a way where I can say, oh, I read 100 books, but I was like speeding through a lot of them. It's not going to help you. I'd rather pick better books and spend more time with them. All right. And I did it by just putting reading on my schedule for 30 minutes every day. And then I just did it. I put everything on my schedule, which I'm going to show you. The best way to get started, if you guys have never time blocked and you want to do this tomorrow, is just on a life coaching call this morning telling somebody this is exactly what you need to do tomorrow. What you need to do late today is pick out what your ideal day would be. Tom's obviously talked about that, your ideal daily schedule, and put it all in your schedule for tomorrow. Everything that you ideally want to do tomorrow, put every single thing on the schedule, including time with your kids, time off, you want to watch this TV show, whatever you want, fill up your schedule tomorrow and see how it feels knowing that you have all the things slotted out. Because if not, you're always running around trying to fit something in and you feel like you're perpetually late. Anybody on the call feels like, as a real estate agent, they're literally always running behind, or they think they're running behind. Nobody. Jackie's always like on. I saw you, Victor. Yeah. My team's always in there raising their hand. I got a lot of them on here. But that's a terrible feeling. And like I said, if that's, again, you not caring for yourself, and it's very hard to be the best agent out there for other people when you're showing up feeling like you're late, or if you're actually late. And lateness is like a huge pet peeve for me. I'm never late because I time block everything, including my travel time plus 10 or 15 minutes. If you're late, your clients don't like that. Everybody says, oh, I was in traffic. Great, account for traffic. I leave early, so I'm there because I put it on my schedule. If I have a 1 o'clock appointment, I'm putting in travel time for 30 minutes before, or else I'm going to say, ooh, it's 1:45, I have to leave because I didn't tell myself when I had to leave. And I think we can all convince ourselves that you'll never miss something, like you'll never miss picking up your kids, or you'll never miss a doctor's appointment, but probably everybody on the call has. Plenty of times I've had a dentist appointment. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll remember. They just call me, oh, you missed your dentist appointment. Yeah, no kidding. I didn't have it in my schedule, so I booked something else. I'm gonna take a quick screen share, if that's all right, Mike, just to show everybody what it actually looks like. Let me see if the sharing's open. Yep.
And I'll share a mantra I came up with while Jonathan's doing that. Very simply, once you adopt this type of a system, it becomes very, very easy to run your day, because here's the mantra. If it's in my schedule, I do it. And if it's not in my schedule, I say no to it. It's really simple. So I fill up my day with all income producing activities, so I know I'll have a powerful day every day. And everything else, I say, sorry, I don't have time. And if I want to put that in my schedule, it'll have to happen not today, because today's already booked out. I don't make changes to the fly on my schedule. If I'm in real estate sales, there's only one thing I would change my schedule for, and that's getting a signature, either on a new listing contract or a buyer's offer. Otherwise, I'm never going to deviate from my schedule. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Mike. I mean, I think without the word no, you're not going to be effective at time blocking. I say no to everything. Oh, actually, this is a side point while I have my calendar up here. I'm maybe the only real estate agent in the country who doesn't answer their phone. Everybody knows it. I literally do not answer my phone. I've never answered my phone. And my message says I don't answer my phone. Text me. Why? Because it's a terrible use of my time to just answer a phone when somebody else is calling me on their time. I can't, because my schedule is booked. And I have a couple catchphrases that I'll use, which is basically, I devote 30 minutes a day to returning phone calls, and those are all booked up for the next 3 days. So it'd be really helpful if you just send me a text. They always text me and I answer it in 1 second. 99% of incoming phone calls are completely irrelevant. nobody really has to talk to me that bad because I can answer it in text. You might be thinking, oh, well, some clients like to talk on the phone. I don't have time to talk on the phone. It's just, I'd much rather be doing other things because I can answer everything much quicker using text or email. All right, so this is actually my schedule from last week. I was scrolling back just so you could see what generally my weeks look like. This is pretty much a very easy version. When this is a regular week, but one I just want to point out, and then I'll get to how I schedule. You can actually have multiple calendars on one Google Calendar. If you're not familiar, that's my calendar. That's my Chime CRM. If I set an appointment on Chime, it comes through automatically to my Google Calendar in purple. Obviously, I don't show that many houses anymore. I have a great team for that. This is my blue is my team calendar, which my team success manager, Crystal, who's on the call, she puts everything on our team calendar. So all the stuff in blue is what my team can see, and they can go and turn that calendar on theirs on and off. But that is good for me to see because it's always there. The most important thing about time blocking is time blocking recurring activities. Recurring activities are the things that you'll forget because you say, well, I have to do it every day. I don't need to put it on my schedule. No, it needs to be on your schedule because you don't want to double book anything. The worst thing you can do as a real estate agent, friend, family member is to double book because you'll be in that spot that Mike was talking about. Where he saw himself in there outside on the phone, but plenty of us have seen it where you book something with a spouse or it's like, you know, anniversary or birthday or like your best friend and you get $1 million listing appointment. And because you weren't looking at your schedule, you took the appointment because you want the appointment. And then you look and you have to make that decision. And I can tell you, most people won't get rid of the real estate appointment. They'll keep it and they'll disappoint someone. And this is here for you to avoid that. So green is, look, if you can see this, I know it's a little bit small. This says shower. That's how nutty I am. If I don't know, I usually don't shower that early because I just work before I shower. But some days if I have to go somewhere, I had to drive to Westchester, so it was an 1.5 hour drive. If I don't put these travel times in and tell myself to shower, I wake up early, but I'll forget and I'll be running behind. I never want to be running behind with my day. This is today. Anything in red means that I have to be on Zoom or in person. That's a visual cue and a reminder for me that I need to be on the call. So I can't look at it like a green. Anything in green, I can just move to here if I don't want to do it. And then if I'm like, oh, I think I will do it, I just move it right back. So that's just a little bit.
Jonathan, what does the green indicate? So red.
Green or, yeah, I'll go back in for a sec. Green are like my personal ones. So if I just put something on Google Calendar, it's going to be in green. Teams in blue. Red is I have to show up. Yellow is outside real estate activity. But you can see I even have pay bills on here. I don't pay my bills. I don't like it. It's annoying. I don't like to get mail. So honestly, I literally just paid my bills. I haven't even looked at them in 2 months because I try to get everything online, but there's always a couple of those companies trying to squeak in that paper bill. So I have to remind myself, I always have take out the garbage on here. If you guys are good at it and you never forget, like, good job, but like you probably could maximize the time another way. I just don't like to forget things. And I've trained myself to make sure I know where to look to do it. Tiffany says green money-making activities. Yeah, you can do that. Mine's probably a little opposite, but yeah, I like color coding for exactly what I want. You know, so if you say green is money making, it's a great idea because then when you see green, you know, like that makes money. I'd make a different color that's brighter for friends and family. So that one stands out before. All right, let me pull back up my spreadsheet. There we go. So a couple of things that will help you when you start to get to time blocking. There's a lot of things that are cluttered around your digital life that make time blocking harder. You're good at time blocking when like, no, nothing's in your way. You can sit down and set your whole schedule. Is anyone willing to tell me the amount of emails they have? If they just open up, for you guys who aren't driving, open up your email, type in the chat how many emails you have unread. I mean, if it's like 3, you're showing off, but mine's probably usually under 20. There you go, 52,000. That's what I'm looking for. So I've taught this class a bunch of times. I've had it at 25,000. There you go, 90,000. It's a problem. And you get caught up in there. Amelia may have set the record. That's impressive. But you will realize what is in there is a product of your digital life. And if you're using a digital calendar, you're not going to be able to do it the right way if there's all that stuff in there. So digital clutter is one thing that makes it harder to get all of these things, because everything you have for business comes in online. At my first brokerage, I was teaching this class for the first time like eight years ago. And I asked somebody who said they had 50,000 emails. And I said, do you think that there's any business in there that you've missed? Because we went through the questioning, are all your emails going there? Yes, all my shopping emails, all my kids' emails, everything was going into one email. And I said, do you think with 50,000 emails, there's any business in there missed? And she said flat out, no, definitely not. And I almost just want to end the presentation right there. If all your real estate emails and all of your other emails are all together, there's just business in there. You can't be that good at email with that many pending that there's not money lost in there. And you don't want to ever lose that because of that. And that's another reason why I'll always take email. Email is always, inbox zero is always on my schedule. I want to get to inbox zero. I have to be done with it. I don't want to have anything pending. So email is always a main block on my computer. If you have trouble with email, I would put it on once a day for at least 30 minutes, just to make sure what you're doing, combing through, getting rid of the garbage, because if not, the garbage covers the other good stuff. All right, let's see what we got. Obviously, these things I'm going to get through the more real estate stuff, but desk is a big thing. Obviously, when desk's messy, it's hard to set your schedule because you're looking at all of your to-do lists. Does anyone use paper to-do lists? I mean, I do. So don't I actually like paper to-do lists. I use notifications and notes. So if you use your phone effectively, or if you use bullet journal, I've used bullet journal as well. You just want to figure out what the best systems are for you, because it will help you with time blocking. What you should really be doing with your to-do lists is looking at your to-do list every morning or every night, even if it's on paper, and saying, which of these things am I going to put on my schedule tomorrow? If any of you guys practice the one thing where you're going to have, obviously that's Gary Keller's book. If you're going to do the one thing, which my agents need a one thing for the week, but they really are looking at a one thing each day, you look at your to-do list, which is the one thing on here that such by doing, it's going to push my business forward. I'm going to put that onto my schedule for the next day. And if you keep doing that every day, your to-do list will go away much quicker. I'll have some tips for those at the end, but I like all forms. I don't think you have to be like all digital. The act of checking something off has been proven to make you feel good. That's why you should make your bed in the morning. It's like, oh, I got out of bed, and the first thing I've done, I've completed a task. It's a check mark that you're going in the right direction for the day. All right, I'm going to go through all 6 pages when I do this, so just keep your hand up for a sec. Who uses Google Calendar or something like Google Calendar now? Hang them up for a sec. Okay, good. Lots. I hope you have your hand up, Crystal. All right, back pages are, all right, good. All right. The reason I think Google Calendar is so important is because it syncs with everything else. I mean, if you're a non-Google person, I have just given up on thinking my information isn't everywhere, and that's just the way that it is. But I like efficiency, so I use it because it syncs with my email, it syncs with forms, it syncs with all the other things that I use. And like I was showing you, it's very easy to slide a task on Google Calendar. I'm just going to go back in there for just one quick second. All right. The reason why I like Google Calendar so much is because it doesn't make me feel as bad. If I'm using only a paper calendar and I miss something, I have to cross it out and then move it to later, which for me, I'm OCD. I don't like cross outs. So then I get aggravated about the cross out. But so I'm supposed to pay, this is a flip I'm doing. I need to pay all of these people. I don't really want to do it. I always push it off, but I'll just move it down to here. And then I'll look in and say, okay, I need to be on bigger pockets. So I'm going to move that up. And then I never feel like I'm off. I'm just doing my best not to delete anything. And the only reason that I will delete something is because I decide that it's irrelevant. And that's also part of time blocking, deciding the things that you're putting on there that really aren't good for your business. So I'll move this back up, and then I make sure that I'm giving myself some time on that.
John, that's another reason why I like Google Calendar, is that another rule we set is if it's on my calendar, I cannot eliminate it, but because it's Google, I can move it. So if I commit to prospecting 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and I have a seller or a buyer, and the only time they can meet me is tomorrow morning, So I can create that appointment, but then I have to click and drag that 2-hour block somewhere else in my week. I cannot eliminate any A activity on there. It's another reason why I like the Google Calendar. It makes sure I get all my prospecting time in consistently by either scheduling it, and then B, if I have to move it because there's a conflict, it's never eliminated, and I always get those 10 hours in every week by just moving that 2-hour box somewhere else.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. It's again, everything about time blocking is about self accountability. You can't show up for a coaching call and be like, well, are you going to just remind me to do all this stuff? Because there's those higher activity things that your coaches like Mike want to do. If you're just talking about how you didn't accomplish everything on the list, Mike will tell you, when Mike started coaching me, I think he was shocked because I was like, whatever I put on my list, I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do it more. And then I'm going to put more details in there to make sure that I'm holding that accountable. But it's also because of holding myself accountable to make sure so I don't disappoint him when I get on the call. I am running through the chat and actually really great job. There's a lot of people with low email numbers. It's not bad if you have a lot. Usually if you have a lot, it means you haven't segmented your real estate email from the other emails. And that's something that I could not recommend more. If you just do one piece of shopping, you're going to get emails for 36 years from J. Crew. They'll never stop. Unsubscribe 100 times. They're just going to keep coming, fill up your inbox. So I like to have just real estate. If you have a brokerage email, I would just use the brokerage email. If your team has an email, I would just use that. And I would log into them separately. I think that people think it's efficient to kind of get all the emails in one spot, but it's definitely not, because you're missing the money activities, which is in your real estate. I actually just did a TikTok. I don't know if you saw it, Mike, but I if anybody's in Gloversville, New York, please just put it in the chat. I sent 3 separate emails to agents in Gloversville, all doing at least 100 transactions, trying to send a buyer referral to them. Guess how many responses I got? 0. This is me. I send these emails all day. We have hundreds of referrals out. 3 separate agents who were the top agents in the area I tried to send a referral to. Not one responded, probably because it's lost in their email somewhere. Let me see. There was another great question in here. Victor Pacina. Yeah, do you have a weekly amount of time you allocate to work on scheduling, or is it a one-day type of thing? That is a great question. So my best recommendation for that is you set aside 30 minutes at least on Sunday to completely set your schedule for the next week. But remember, the more comfortable you get at building recurring things into your schedule, the less you're going to have to do.
Let me interject there, Jonathan. Yeah. Just from my experience as a coach, is a lot of you guys, your schedule on the weekends will change. Like sometimes you might be working, sometimes you might take the weekend off. So if you don't have a consistent Sunday routine, like you kind of have that dialed in, I will recommend you do this on Friday, because otherwise you get this anxiety through the weekend, Jonathan, like, oh my gosh, and I went to the ball game, maybe, I don't know, you got tickets to see a baseball game or something. Like, also you wake up Monday morning, like, oh, I didn't schedule anything. And now your week is shot because your weekends tend to be. So if you have that, which most of us do, make sure you get it done on Friday for the upcoming week. Otherwise your next week will not be nearly as productive.
Yeah. Well, let me go in on that just a little, because it's a great point. But I'll tell you, obviously we all know, we're all realtors, so we know, Friday, you're kind of like, oh man, I'm tired. That week was tough. I got things. So you don't want to do it Friday. But then also the problem is on Sunday, even if you have to do a little bit of follow-up, because like Mike, you said, on the weekend stuff changes, and also the stuff that changes on the weekend affects what's next week. So really your goal is to be doing this at night every single night. You're looking at your schedule for the next day, making sure you're putting in the things that are for you, which includes what I'll call flex time. Good, we still have 30 minutes. And flex time is a great thing to add to your schedule, which just makes you clean up the loose ends in your day. And then you feel like, oh, I've granted myself this. I finished my loose ends. Now I can go get a smoothie or something. You don't have to feel like you're going to be running behind if you say, well, on the way to a showing, I'll try to do that. The ideal way is to do it every night at a certain time, to just double check that tomorrow's all set. Because if you do it in the morning, the same thing will happen. You're already running hot. Kids want to go to school, or you woke up late, your exercise is late, and everything will go off. Lisa asked, do you ever do a brain dump to help create your to-do? Yeah, So the key to is reminders. I use reminders on my phone, and that's actually where I add stuff. I just take stuff on there, like I said before, and I'll see which reminders are more important, and then I move those onto my schedule. And if something stays in my reminders for a long time, I know I'm not going to do it. You know, it's like, has anyone done a life-changing magic of tidying up, Marie Kondo? You can take this and think about it in real estate. So in that, not that you really need a decluttering lesson, but it has to do with email as well. So if in that and in Spark Joy, if you take all of the things in your closet, you turn all of the hangers one way, and then after 3 months, you see, after you wear something, you turn the hanger the other way. If after 3 months you go back and all the hangers that are still hanging the same way, you're not going to wear that. I mean, unless you're in the winter summer market, but after 6 months, you're definitely not going to wear it. It's the same with email and your reminders. If something's sitting in your to-do list for 6 months, PS, you're not going to do it. Read Who Not How, and then hire someone else to do it, or just give it up and say you're not going to do that. You know, there's just things that I'm not good at, and I have to learn to just give them away.
Yeah, let me interject here, because that was a challenge for me, guys. Early on, I had guilt. I felt like I was never getting the list done, and I felt guilty that I wasn't being as productive as I should be. So what I moved to is doing a brain dump. I saw someone mention that here in the chat somewhere. So I definitely do a brain dump. And what I do is I get everything out of my head, Liz, right? And then I get it on a piece of paper, and I go back to my list, and I will label everything either an A, B, or C activity. I will share with you now, and then there's usually one A+ activity, I'll call it, right? This is like, for us would be lead generation, right? A+, then my A's. Now, as long as I get my A's done each day, Liz, I feel like I've won the day and I've had a good day. At this point in my life, I very rarely get to a B. I never get to a C activity. All those things Jonathan's talking about, and I don't worry about it, and I don't think about it, because I've got the most important things done. And you guys are familiar with the 80-20 rule, right? Pareto's principle is that 80% of my income is going to come from 20% of those activities. Those are my A's. That's all I have to do to earn 80% of all the money I need to make on there. But how do I do it? Is I don't gravitate to those B's and C's. Matter of fact, my wife knows that. She'll make a joke like, hey, if I go out of the house, hey, you know what I was doing while you were gone? I did some B activities, because we never get to them. And she loves to get there, because she's an analytic amiable. She loves getting the whole checklist done. So she'll jump on those if I'm not around, but otherwise we're just living in A activities, Jonathan, right? The things that are helping us push our business forward, making us income. And those B's and C's, those extra emails, I don't care, extra little activities or whatever, they're not important. Just focus on the important stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and of course, but I mean, the thing is, a lot of those A activities are the ones that are like a little bit harder, like phone calls. You know, we're classic realtors. Oh, gonna put in 2 hours of phone time. I love it when I tell someone set their schedule and they're like, they put in 3 hours of phone time. They make one phone call, get rejected, and they're like, actually, I don't feel like doing that today. Not a good day. Not a good day for calls today. Like, it's hard. You just have to build in the repetition. But the problem is, when you keep putting B and C on your to-do list, you'll start doing them. And then you're doing, like Mike said, the low value activities, because they're easier, and you know, like, no one's going to reject you. And then you're not doing the like really important listing call because you're a little bit nervous. You just have to cut it, use one thing, use the Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Those are things that'll get you there. Let me just grab a couple questions while I get to the what's next part. Joy asked, yeah, do you put on your calendar appointments of things you have going on that team members are on, not you, or do you think it gets too cluttered? No, I don't put that. So that our team calendar only has things where it's for the whole team to see. I don't want to see their schedules. It would be too cluttered for me personally. I think if there was a good way to do it, if you wanted a full oversight on where everybody was, I would just have ops manager, team success manager have that and never show it to me. There's certain things that I've had to do because I know they're better for me. Like, we have a workplace chat with the whole team, and I used to be in it, and now I'm never in it, because it's just they have they're talking about a lot of good things, but I can't read it because I'll get wrapped up in it. I go in there once in a while, and my team success manager tells me if I need to look in there. Trent said, any recommendations for email that's gone a little haywire? Yes, unroll.me. If you go to unroll.me, you just plug in your email, and you can immediately just eliminate and unsubscribe from like hundreds of things. But the good thing about unroll.me is that it will package up into a roll up all the ones that you want to keep, and then you just get one email with all the emails. And when I did it, I never even read that email. That shows you how much you need the emails. I put like 190 things in the roll up, and then I was like, well, I'm not going to open that. There's too much stuff in that. And poof, there it was gone. So unroll.me is my go-to on that. Somebody mentioned Siri also. Yeah, when I'm driving, I always use Siri to remind me. I just say, hey, Siri, remind me to do X in 1 hour. That cues it to go into my notifications. And then when I'm looking at my calendar, I'm going to use the notifications to slide stuff over into it. Sven asked, how much time would you recommend new agents scheduling their time blocking to make cold calls, listing calls? Well, that's a good one, and Sven's on my team. I don't make cold calls. I think it's the worst waste of time ever in the history of the world. I like to build everything around warm calls. Obviously, if you're making expired calls, that's cool, but it's just not for me. I'm always trying to do stuff where I have incoming business and teach my agents to do that as well. Also, because I find like there's nothing you get rejected harder in than cold calls, maybe besides internet dating, but cold calls will really just make you feel bad about yourself. So they're not for me, but I would schedule, depending on where you are, if you're a brand new agent and you schedule 2 hours of calling, like who are you calling? I mean, unless you've used Tom's Sphere Builder, you don't have anyone to call. So like, it really depends on what you have. I'd be more concerned about, from what Mike said before on the ABC, I'm doing ABC, I make all my agents have a top 10, top 20 of their clients inside Chime or whatever CRM you use, because then you can prioritize that onto your calendar. I would put in top 10 on my calendar every day, and then top 20 every other day to make sure that I'm touching those clients every other day, because those are your top ones. Let's see. Mike said 80% lead gen. That's where you got to do it. Lead gen makes the calls. All right, 20 minutes. One thing I want to say that I did in the promo, and then I'm going to get to some really full-on real estate things that you can time block that will help you do it, is that a lot of control freaks, like most of us are, I'm a control freak, but I used to think, oh, I don't want to put all this stuff. That's telling me what to do. And I don't even want to tell myself what to do because that's too restrictive. It's not. If you get good at time blocking, will open up everything for you, because you can look and say like, oh, wow, look at all the free time I have. Now I can plug in the stuff that I want to into the spots where I'm not busy. But every time you get through a day and you've held yourself accountable and followed your time blocks and realized, wow, that actually worked, then you feel better each day. Like the slight edge, it gets easier and easier to add one more thing. Or once you do it, like I originally, when I started meditating, I put it on for 5 in the morning. I would just put it there. Now I've done it 1,500 days in a row, which I track all that. And now I don't have to put it on. I'll never forget. But if I forget ever something, I put it back on my schedule so I don't. Exercise is the one that everybody forgets if you don't have a routine. And then you look and it's like, if you don't track it like I do, you'll be like, well, I don't know when last time I was outside for just a walk. So, all right, let me get into it. So one thing, the pro tip for parents is at the beginning of every school year, you go through the school calendar that you get and you put every single thing on the calendar. Every day off, every vacation, every half day. These are the things that parents who are also real estate agents have the most blunders with, because somebody's got to pick up your kids. And if you don't put it in there, you're just going to wake up the day before. And like I said earlier, you're going to have an appointment and you're going to have to choose between one or the other. You're going to pick up your kid. You're going to lose the client when you could have just had it time blocked in advance. So recurring events like daily masterminds, my team, we are on every single day at 12. It's on the calendar, but like 12 to me means 12. So if I'm someone on the team and they know I'm anal retentive and I want you on at 12, I would be setting an alert 4 or 5 minutes before, just so you're on time. So daily mastermind, school pickup, anything that you have. If you go to the dentist at the same time every 3 months, put it on your schedule. If you're going to have date night with your partner, anything, role play with teammates, they should all be on there as recurring. The more recurring things you can get on your schedule that you want to do every week, the less work you're going to have to do every night or every Friday or every Sunday to build out the things again. And then you're going to look and like, wow, I already have a lot of stuff scheduled. Now, where can I put in some other activities? Talked about those. Medical, dental. All right, good. Here comes the real estate stuff. 17 minutes to go. And then I'll get you a top 10 time blocking reminders in the last 5 minutes. So these are some of the things that I think should be on your real estate schedule in time blocks. Prospecting time, of course, calls, emails, and texts. I highly recommend, even if you're a high I and you love to talk on the phone, if you're just talking on the phone and you're not getting a lot done, it's going to be a bad use of your time. So I really like to schedule my call time, and that includes return calls. For anyone who always answers their phone when it comes in, you're always distracting yourself. It's good to be obviously responsive, but I've set up a system where it just tells somebody to text me. They text me, I answer the question.
Let me share something, Jonathan, as well. So what I downloaded on my phone is an app called Umail. So what Umail will do will screen all my calls for me with a nice fancy voicemail message, but then immediately convert all of my voicemails into text and email. So I never check my voicemails anymore, right? I'll get to screen that little text message or email real quick and decide if I want to respond back to it or get to it. And what it also does a much better job of is screening out all the spam calls for me. It has a much better filter than my regular phone. So I get a lot less spam calls, and I haven't checked a voicemail in, I don't know, years on there, because I get them.
I don't even know if my voicemail's set up. I mean,
right.
I know because I just have a message that says, don't leave a message. I'm not even going to look at it. There's literally no chance at all.
Yeah, but that's a good app. And also, if you have a problem with a mailbox filling up, that'll give you an unlimited size mailbox if you do happen to get a lot of calls and a lot of voicemails left on there. So that's another little tip to add to Jonathan's list today. Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah. I think it's Umail with a U, isn't it?
Yes,
or is it Y-O-U?
Yeah, it's a blue and orange logo, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I have it. It is YOU.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So neighborhood expert time. This is one I drill into my team members every day. This is just a side tip. This should be on your schedule every single day. The newer that you are, the better. If you put neighborhood expert time, what that is, every single morning, at least for 5 minutes, I want all of my agents to log on to the MLS in their #1 top neighborhood and look up everything that sold yesterday and everything that was listed yesterday. That takes 5 minutes if you do it every single day. If you do that every single day for 1 week, you'll know more than 80% of the agents in your entire market. If you do that every day for a month, you'll know more than 99% of the agents in your market. There's no exaggeration. You'll know more than everybody. That means you can be an absolutely brand new agent, done no transactions, and you can know the transaction data of your town better than the most experienced agent in the area. I guarantee they don't know what's going on every single day. This is how, as a new agent, you can have value without having to say like, oh, I haven't done any business. They won't even know, because when somebody asks you what's the average price point in your area, I know this goes back to Mike said this on one of my coaching calls. You don't say, oh, it's around 400. Like, great, everybody knows it's around 400. What if you know that it's 411,217? They're going to think, wow, that's exceptional. Yeah, actually, every morning I go on the MLS for 5 minutes, make sure I see everything that was listed yesterday and everything that was sold. Because then when you get incoming, if any of you are on Zillow Flex with your teams, those things are coming in hot. Like, you need to have information on the towns that are coming in. If you do this 5 minutes a day and it's on your schedule, I can guarantee you in 1 month, you'll know more than basically almost every agent in your area about your top town. Don't do it on a county, it's too much. You want to focus on one town where you want to be the expert. This helps you become the expert. Again, you can be the expert in your mind and know more if you've never done a transaction. It's just about knowing the data. What do people want to know? They want to know that you have information that others don't. So if you know, actually, there's 6 houses sold in the last month just in that neighborhood. If you want, I can send you the details. Yeah, okay, sure. Because you have information that other people don't have. Everybody else is saying like, oh, it's between 350 and 400. That's not helpful. And this is all time blocking. 5 minutes a day is all you need for that. Here's one of my favorites. Anybody who is primarily a buyer's agent who is just like overwhelmed, who's doing more than like 15 showings a week? Anyone as a buyer's agent? That's a lot. See Brandon, Victor does sometimes. Look, if you're doing that many showings and it's starting to run into your life, here's a pro tip for what I do with my showings. So when I was a brand new buyer's agent and I started, I was probably doing about 20 showings a week. But like on Sunday night, I wanted to die. I could not handle it. So I adjusted the way that I think and created some boundaries. So I would give myself buyer showing time blocks. And that was Wednesday from 4 to 8 p.m. and Saturday all day. I was saying I was going to take Sunday off. I didn't actually end up doing it. But this way, what happens is when somebody comes in and they say, hey, I want to see that tomorrow at 6, I say, actually, I have a slot between Wednesday, 4 to 8. What time works for you? And then instead of everybody dictating where I'm using my time, I start to put people into my boundaries and what time work for me. You might need to open Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, like you got to hustle, obviously, as a buyer's agent. But I like to set the hours. And then I would do every Wednesday, I would call my top 10 and say, hey, do you want to get involved in this time block? It's Wednesday. I'm starting to block for Saturday and Sunday now. If you think there's a couple, I'll block you out an hour, but we do need to confirm the showings tomorrow because I want to be sure that I can lock in those blocks. I hate on Friday, somebody sending me 9 properties saying they want to see them on Saturday. I'm already planned my Saturday. And if you're busy, you have to do that. And the only way to handle the influx is to set blocks where you know you're going to be showing no matter what. It helps you put stuff around. Look, anybody says they can only see a house on Thursday night at 6, probably not correct. They probably can work it in on your time frame. It's just that we're all too soft on our boundaries and think we're going to lose a client if we say Wednesday at 6 instead of Wednesday at 6:30.
Yeah, John, and let me bring up a good point. Is the most productive time of your day is always going to be in the morning. This is when you're going to do your lead follow-up, engage your past clients. Is that I will very, very, very rarely ever schedule a morning appointment with a client. And I've learned that a lot of the time they've asked for one, but there is another option that will also work for them. Because if I do take an appointment, Jonathan, first thing in the morning, the odds of me getting back to my lead gen and all that are slim to none. And just the day gets, going, you get those fires started, you get some emergency emails or phone calls, and you just lost. If you lose one day a week of prospecting, you've lost 80% of your prospecting for the week. Right? That's a 20% pay cut that you will eventually see at the bottom line 90 days from now, which you don't want. So I push back on morning appointments till the afternoon. I'd say 99% of the time, and I've been pretty successful with that. Now, once in a while, John, will I get that one client that has to because I don't know they're a doctor or police officer?
Yeah.
And of course, but don't just because they say, "Oh, I want to go tomorrow morning." Say, "Well, that's what's the second best option for you?" Right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think boundaries are tough because the second that you set a boundary, somebody gets annoyed. And then for expressives, they feel like, oh, I've disappointed someone. Now I feel bad on myself. The second time after you keep the boundary, then someone says, oh, actually, now I know. This is even better. Now I know Wednesday for 4 to 8, they're available. So every week I'm going to have my showings ready. And if they can't fit it the way that I want, it's not going to work for me. Like I have to protect those boundaries. All right, I'm going to cruise through these other ones. I am going to provide this to Mike, and he'll be able to email it out to anyone who was on the actual PDF that I have here. So I used to schedule time for my real estate adjacent personnel. That's attorneys, title, lender. If I wanted to meet them or if they were good, we were working deals, I'd always have like one call on a week just to connect with one of them to build those relationships more. Handwritten cards obviously are going out of style. They're still every single time when you business. If you do a listing appointment, you should be sending a thank you. If you're doing anything, you should be sending a follow-up card. It's obviously not the easiest thing to do. My handwriting's terrible, but every time I did it, it works. I mean, there's no excuses about it. Oh, I don't have time to do that. If you do it, you'll get great responses from it. So that's something I would put in once a week, even if it was 30 minutes. That's like 5 cards. That will be 5 pieces of business you'll be looking at in the future. CRM scrubbing, I think, is really, really important. If you're not in your CRM scrubbing your data, seeing who's the top 10, making sure they're still your top 10, then looking at the top 20, oh, actually, these two should go into the top 10. These 2 should go out, then you don't have your priorities scheduled inside of there. So I would always have CRM scrubbing time, which means you're just in your CRM going through it. I mean, I would do it daily, at least for 30 minutes, just to make sure that you're on top of it. In case your team leaders haven't told you, you should never, ever have any client in your CRM without a task. If you don't have a task, it's literally just going to sit there forever. There's nothing there. So when I'm scrubbing, I'm always making sure that I have a task. Even if somebody says, hey, I'm not going to buy for a year, I'm going to set a follow-up in 9 months just to make sure that I have it set. Social media. So if you schedule your social media, you'll get 100 times more value out of actually using it pointedly instead of just like, doing what we all do, like scrolling. Because you'll just be like, oh, this, I don't want to post a TikTok. And then you're like, oh, look, animals, the dodo's great. And then it's 2.5 hours later and you haven't done anything. So when I put social media on my schedule, when I'm like Facebook post, Instagram post, it changed the way that I use social media. And then when I would just get, this is, you will think it's crazy, I scheduled in some scroll time. Like, I like Instagram, I want to look at it. I actually like TikTok. I thought it was terrible, now I like it, but I schedule it in so I know, like, I got 30 minutes to look at TikTok, and when these 30 minutes are up, I'm not staying on. This helps you judge what you're doing for business and what you're doing for pleasure. Social networking time, that's the, what's on my time? All right. Yeah, I would do the 5 and 30. I think that was one of Tom's things back in the day. Make 5 comments, send 5 messages, like 5 pictures, do 5 recommendations. I'd skip that one actually, and I'd skip the like pictures. So here's my pet peeve on social media is like, if you're commenting on people's stuff and you're doing the same thing that everybody else does, it's not going to help you build any relationships. So when I schedule social media response time, that means I'm responding to other people with like full sentences. You know, nothing irks me more. I don't have my birthday on Facebook, but when like one of my oldest friends types HBD on my wall, I've known you for 30 years, you literally can't even write more than 3 letters. And that's what social media commenting has. If you actually make good comments, you'll build more relationships in there. Everybody knows when the comments just like everybody else's. All right, flex time is really important, as is video time. Tom has been crushing it for years. Make videos, make videos. The reason why people don't make videos, there's 2 things. 1, it's not on their schedule. 2, they think they don't look great. Once you get over that and you just keep posting them, it's fine. But if you don't schedule it, you're going to find any excuse in the world not to go on and shower yet. My hair doesn't look good today. Got to do it. All right. These are some top 10 time blocking reminders, and then we'll hop off right on time. So the thing about time blocking is your goal is efficiency and productivity and being proactive. You know, if you're not proactive and you're not time blocking, you're always being reactive. And when you're reactive, you're just losing your whole day. Like Mike said, you set a showing in the morning, then the next thing you know, you're out, you remember you got to do an errand, or you taking in an intake phone call, but you have a listing appointment in 30 minutes. Next thing you know, you're running late. So I want to be proactive. And by time blocking my week and month and year all in advance, it's all laid out there in front of me. I don't really have to worry about missing anything. And I know that I'm not going to miss anything. And that's a really good feeling where you know, like, I'm good. All I have to do is look at this schedule in front of me and go where it says. Again, when you're synced with Google or whatever you use, when I set 8 showings and I'm a buyer's agent, I'm just clicking on the Google Maps. I'm not thinking about, I need to know where to go. I just put it in there, hit the Google map for where it goes, and go there.
Yeah, there's a great tip in The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, where he highly recommends in an 8-hour day, you never schedule more than 6 hours of activity for 2 reasons. Everything takes a little bit longer than you think to get done, and things come up every day that you don't plan for. This 2-hour buffer will keep you out of the weeds or out of that overwhelm or stress, Jonathan, of always being behind. You will absorb that 2 hours like this. If you try to schedule an 8-hour day and schedule every minute of the 8 hours, you'll be behind and stressed most of your life.
Yep. And that's why I use flex time, which is exactly what Mike's talking about. I just put an hour of flex time in twice a day. And it's why I put in travel time, rest time. I put everything in there because that keeps the blocks there, because then I'm scheduling things that are not actually doing stuff. No task is too small to be time blocked if you want to actually do it. So if you want to start reading, put reading on your schedule every day. Because if not, I guarantee you after 7 days, you'll have read once or twice, if you're lucky. Because it's just something easy to, well, it's no big deal. I'll just read that the next time. You know, I'll read it tomorrow, and then you're still on page 1 after 50 days. So I will put anything on there if it's something I want to turn into a recurring. This is from Getting Things Done by David Allen. If something's on your to-do list and it will take more than 2 minutes, don't put it on your calendar, just do it. If something takes less than 2 minutes and you keep putting it off and, oh, I'm gonna move that block, like you're either never gonna do it or you need to do it right away. Don't put things on your calendar. I'm not saying small in time, small, anything can go on there, but if it can take less than 2 minutes, just do it right at that time because you're not doing anything else. Family, partner, friends are more important than your job. time blocking will make sure you never forget that. You don't want to be in that position where you have to choose between your family and your business, and your team leader saying, well, like, you have to go on that listing appointment. You're like, well, my kid has a ballet recital. You put yourself in that situation, unless they just scheduled it when you had something. Normally it's our fault. If we double book, that's on us. I never want to have to do that again. Why I left the business is because I just looked at myself and said, I can't do this. I don't need to take this phone call. I need the time with my kids.
There's an interesting quote that I heard years ago, Jonathan, that where someone says, you know, what's important to you? And most people say, oh, my family is very important to me, or I'm committed to reading more. So here's the social proof. Let me see your Google Calendar. Have you actually time blocked out with your family this week? Because that's the proof if you're really committed to spending more time with your family, or if they're more important to you. Have you actually carved out time where you're not going to be taking a call, you're not going to be working? That someone had just put in there, I think it was, who was it? Victor, was it? No, Al, right? How do I keep my family, you know, my relationship so strong with my wife and my son is that every week starts with them. What do you want to do this week? Do you want to go out to dinner? We're going to a movie? Are we going to not work on Saturday? All right, that's your time. Now, all the rest of the time, they don't schedule with them. They know I'm working, and that's not their time. So they don't interrupt that time, but they know every week that they're going to have time dedicated to them where I'm 100% present, which is part of the key. If you tell them to spend time with them and then you're on the phone the whole time, that's not spending time with them. So
yeah. And so with that, I know we'll run a couple minutes over, but
I'm okay, Jonathan, if you go a little bit
yeah,
longer.
Okay. Yeah, it'll just be like 3-4 minutes.
That's fine.
So my kids are now 20 and 18. If I pulled up my schedule for a reason while Mike was saying that. So if you can see, this is 2 weeks ago. This is my son, Benjamin. This is me. He lives on his own now. So it's like, now I'm empty nest. This is weird, but I schedule this out. I schedule my travel time around it. And then I scheduled here is me going to the zoo with him. This was for his birthday. And then I'm scheduling out this week. We're going to watch Survivor. I was going to hang out with him and his girlfriend. I'm always putting them on the schedule because it makes me know no matter what, that's not going to get booked. And PS, another pro tip right at the end, how many people use Calendly? Okay, it should be a lot. So I use Calendly. It allows people to book on your schedule. The problem is if you don't block out the travel time, you'll set a listing appointment and then someone will book on Calendly right before that if you don't use a buffer. And then you have to tell them, oh, sorry, I didn't book the travel time. That's why I created travel time on my schedule. I get so many Calendly bookings a day. I had to start putting travel time or things with my son because I don't want to have to go and redirect. That's waste of time for me to have to tell someone, hey, use this link. It syncs with my schedule. Oh, sorry, I didn't schedule my own travel time. So if you use Calendly, you have to use travel time and anything else so someone can't get into those areas if you don't use buffers.
I'll give you another pro tip too. I'm not sure if everybody's aware. So say you have an appointment set up for, I don't know, Wednesday at like 4 or 5 o'clock, right? And you got to travel a distance on there. I'll go to Google, Jonathan, and it'll tell me the approximate travel time on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock for that. So a normal thing, it might take me 10 or 15 minutes without traffic. During rush hour, that same trip could take me easily an hour. That'll give me a good indication of how much buffer I may have to leave like an hour early for this appointment, because that time is just a heavier traffic time. And Google has pretty good analytics now where they can get you pretty accurate on the actual time that it would take during certain time periods throughout the day.
Yep, couldn't agree more. I look at it, I'm always early. I always want to be there before the client. I just feel bad if I'm not. So I'm always, if I know I need to be there, I put 15 minutes early. It's just what I do no matter what.
15 minutes is on time, John. And I tell everyone on this call, this is a Vince Lombardi quote from 100 years ago, right? If you're 15 minutes early to practice, you're on time. If you're on time to practice, you're late. Don't ever be late. If your client has any driverish in them and you're not 10 to 15 minutes early, they're probably not going to want to work with you real quick. On there, 15 minutes is on time, I would tell you, for an appointment.
Yep. Samantha had a great point. If she has a big meeting appointment, she time blocks the prep time. I time block the prep time for this. If I have something, I set a reminder a week in advance, and then I also set prep time on my schedule. If you have a big listing appointment, you better put when are you going to do the work? If I have to do comps for someone, I put do comps. I put everything on there because I have to do it. And if you don't put it on there, you're going to forget. Like, you're just not, none of us are that good to not forget everything if it's not on our calendar. I only have a couple more things. The greatest thing that we showed you before, like, because you can move the blocks, you don't have to commit to feeling like a failure. Like the whole point of Google Calendar is when I tell people, I go through the Google Calendar classes that I teach, you just move it. Like if you don't complete it, it's okay. You can just move it to a time where you can. I mean, you can't get in the habit of continually moving your entire life forward because you'll never get anything done. But I like to know, actually, I can prioritize these. If I have 6 things on, I can move one up, move one down. It's not as strict as everybody thinks. If you have 10 things on your calendar, you can prioritize in real time. I actually would rather do this one first, but at least I'm doing one of the things instead of looking at your hour of phone calls and being like, don't really want to do those. Move something else that's right below it in there, but make sure you hit those as well. If you don't have a reminder system in place, you'll forget things. The calendar is great. If you don't have built-in reminders on it, you're still going to forget because you're not going to be looking all the time, especially if you're a buyer's agent, you're out in the field. This is a pro tip on TV. Who likes TV? Does anyone watch live TV? I see a couple hands. Live TV is like the biggest way. I mean, unless it's sports or like the awards or something. The reason is for every hour of TV you watch live, you could watch it in 40 minutes on DVR or on Hulu or whatever. So I like TV. I watch a lot of programs and people say, how do you watch so many shows? And I just time block when I want to watch TV. But if you're only watching your regular shows on DVR or on Hulu, you can save 20 minutes an hour. So if you have 3 hours of TV, you can save an entire hour by not watching live. I mean, it's annoying. Commercials are annoying. So I even try to watch shows that are older if I have to, like if Hulu doesn't run the commercials. I'd like to save an hour and also still be able to watch my favorite shows. Then the last one, the best way to get your time blocking off to a good start is where we started. If you just think that you have no time, it all goes back to Miracle Morning or whatever form of that you want to do. If for 1 week you go into practice time blocking and you also wake up an hour earlier than you normally do, you'll get so much done that you won't even believe that you can be that productive. Because the first hour in the morning before the rest of the house wakes up, you can literally complete so much, even if it's just stuff for yourself. I woke up at 4:30. That's a mistake. It's way too early. I know Mike gets up that early, but like I was falling asleep at like 7 o'clock. But what I found when I did that is when I was at work at noon, I literally had finished everything on my to-do list. And then I was like, wow, how much more can I accomplish now that I've knocked out all the things? Like Mike said before, the morning is when you're most effective. If you load up your afternoons with all the stuff you don't want to do, you're never going to do it. I mean, you have to be honest with yourself and self-aware about what you're going to do and what you're not. But the more you put it on your schedule, the more you will be able to hold yourself accountable. That is it. I appreciate you guys all stopping by. Mike, do you have any follow-ups? I'll send you the PDF so you can share it. It's only 4 pages. It just has kind of all of these bullet points. But I'll put my email in the chat if anybody has any follow-up questions. Mike, do you have any wrap-ups on that?
Well, no wrap. I mean, you covered it, right? You've got to schedule, you got to prepare. That's another thing that you touched on, right? Preparation is the key to all success, right? In that book, Sun Tzu, right? The war is always won before the first battle is fought. That's what we're talking about here. Preparing that week in advance, mostly with A+ activities. So you're spending most of your time doing things that actually generate some revenue, right? Not reacting to the urgent. Like it's more like an overview, Jonathan, right? Is if you don't schedule this stuff, you will react to the urgent and not do the important. It'll just happen that way because every email and every call will seem like the only thing you have going on at this time because you didn't schedule the other activities on there. Again, start always with your family because I've learned if things are not good at home, it will seep into your business and you will have business problems. So I always start with my family first. I always make sure, another good book on this, Jonathan, is Tom talks about him a lot, is Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. On there, Dr. Amen on there, who talks about it takes 8 hours, guys, for your brain to cleanse itself. It actually cleanses itself while you sleep. That process takes a full 8 hours. So every day you get less than 8 hours, you're not coming to the table tomorrow at 100% based on how much less than 8 hours you got or how much brain capacity you're going to have. And this is why you'll get tired faster and you won't be as sharp the next day. It takes a full 8 hours for that process to happen. So that's why I get my 8 hours because I want to be 100% every day.
And with the momentum of that is every single thing that you put on your schedule and then you accomplish just makes you more confident that you're going to again be able to accomplish it tomorrow. If you have nothing on there and you keep not doing it, you're never, I mean, you're not, how can you be the best in the field when you know you're already running behind? So if you use Slight Edge, Atomic Habits, 10X, any of those books, they're all pretty much the same thing in different versions. All you have to do is start something on your schedule tomorrow. So my challenge to anyone who really wants to do this and you've never time blocking is tonight, put your ideal schedule on the calendar tomorrow and then see how you stick to it. If you stick to it, you're like, wow, okay, now you try it for the next day and then start adding in some recurring appointments. The recurring appointments are the key to this. I can tell you as a last wrap up, nothing is more important to your calendar than the recurring things, because those are the things that you have to do that you think you won't forget. And when you get busy, you will forget. And it'll be school stuff, important things, your CEs, anything. Put it on the calendar and make sure it's there the next week. I love going to my schedule and looking at next week and knowing everything's already in there that I need to do, because then I'm adding the new stuff in around that without letting that stuff tell me when I need to schedule. I like to be in control. Time blocking helps me actually release control because it's out there for the next week. It's already there. I don't have to worry about it. And I like to worry less and be, like Mike said, proactive and not reactive. All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, great stuff today, guys. This is it. And if you could master this skill here, everything else will just fall into place naturally, right? You've got the schedule, the routine of the right activities at the right time. You have a great work-life balance at the same time, and you've got it figured out. Now, I will tell you one thing, if you haven't done this before, I've learned, Jonathan, everything is connected. So you can't just build your perfect schedule today, because what it probably means for you to run your perfect schedule next week, you're probably going to have to adjust maybe the time you eat dinner, then the time you go to bed, maybe a little less TV, a little less social, so you can get those 8 hours to get up a little bit earlier to get all the stuff done. And it takes a little practice over time. Like I've been working on this for 30 years, I'll tell you, just tweaking and refining and tweaking and refining. This isn't something that's, oh, Jonathan did the call, it'll be perfect on Monday. You'll be greatly disappointed. Create the schedule like Jonathan said, and try to follow it as closely as you can next week, and then get a little bit better the following week and make some adjustments. And you keep, this is an evolution. This is not like one time you figure it out and you're done. I still like my workout time. I'll give you an example is I used to work out in the mornings. And then when I moved to the West Coast, I needed to move that to the afternoons because I get up 3 hours earlier now, as an example. My reading, I used to do every day. I now chunk that, Jonathan, on the weekends in a 4-hour time block. So I try to read one book every week. So 4 or 5, whatever hours I need, but I just do it as a chunk versus a little bit every day because my schedule changed. I have to go to the gym later. Everything is connected is my point. So when you start moving stuff around, you'll see it takes a little while to adjust and get on a consistent schedule. Just like I said, I've been working on it for 3 decades. It's a work in progress.
I think that's a good point. You have to be kind to yourself around the time block. I mean, you're not supposed to beat yourself up over it. You're just supposed to give yourself the opportunity to accomplish more, which is family, friends, life first, self-care, and then the rest second. But you will, without any question, Mike will confirm, if you just start time blocking and you get good at it over 6 months, you'll definitely 2x your business. If you do it for a year, you'll probably 5x your business, because you just are so much more organized and you're not doing the thing that I make jokes about high eyes. I know most of you are high eyes, but like high eyes running down, having a conversation, all money's just falling on the street. They don't even notice. They're just too busy having a conversation. But once you have the thing scheduled, you just know you're losing less. And the more emails you have, you're losing more. Give it a try, and you can always email me for feedback on it. I have a lot of different strategies to help it out. But yeah, I appreciate the time, Mike. Thanks as always.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. It was a great turnout today. We've had well over 100 and something people here. So thanks for the great turnout, all the questions, participation. You guys are awesome. And I will see you on our next call. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.